Hello, it's Crafty Carol here with yet another Christmas countdown card. Lots of C's. I hope you've enjoyed the ones so far. We're going to be making some cards and little gifts and all sorts up to Christmas, but this is week 4 and I wanted to show you a lovely technique. I'm actually going to do a video with all sorts of different techniques to use embossing folders, but this particular one I want to show you today uses ink on the embossing folder. So I have to admit it is a retired embossing folder, but it's my favourite one for Christmas, so I'm going to keep using it. And this is what we're going to make, a sort of something similar anyway. So the embossing folder I've used is called Winter Snow. It is a retired one now, but just talking about embossing folders, and in the other video that is up around the same time as this one, you'll find different techniques, and I also show you on that video how best to use these embossing folders in the embossing emboss and cut machine, cut and emboss machine. So when you get an embossing folder, and of course we have all sorts of different ones, then the inside is the bit that does all the work, and there are two sides. There is a debossed side where the image is pushed into the plastic, and there is an embossed side which is where it is raised on the plastic, so that when you put the card in, this bit pushes up the image so that you get this raised image on the front. So this bit is the debossed, it pushes into this bit. So this is the debossed bit, that's the bit we want to ink to get the background colour and not the snowflakes. So I have already got ready some pieces of card to do it with and some background stuff here. So that's my piece of card I want to use. So let me show you how to ink your embossing folder without throwing it on the floor. So I want to be very careful that I'm inking the debossed side, and just as a hint, when you get your embossing folders, the Stampin' Up logo is bottom right on the front. The debossed side is just about always the inside of the front flap. Okay, so make sure you're doing the right side. So to use this, I'm using a brayer, and as you can see, mine is disgusting. It's got horribly stained over the years, but what the heck. So to use a brayer, what you want to do with it is run it over the ink pad and just run it in the same direction. And you can just do it lightly, and on a decently juicy ink pad like this one is, because it's more or less new, you'll find it picks up all the ink on the brayer. Okay, then you're going to run it onto the emboss folder. Now the key with this, don't press, because you don't want the ink to go down into the depression. You just want it to sit on the top bit. So very lightly, you're just going to run the brayer backwards and forwards in different directions over the whole of the embossing folder. So it's going to cover all of where the card is. I'm going to do that quite a few times just to make sure I've covered the whole of the area where I want the card to go, but without any pushing at all. Make sure you do not push. So let me just close that ink pad before I get it on everything. So the next stage is to put the card on, and you want to do this quite carefully, because you don't try and put it direct onto the ink, because you might smudge it. So I put it against the uninked side and then fold it down. Okay, and then it won't move. So I'm just going to have a little break here while I go and run it through my cut and emboss machine, and I'll be back in a second. So here I am back, and as we open it up, you can see that the card has picked up all the ink on the background that we want, and it has just raised up the snowflakes, so you can see them there. Really rather pleased with that. On the one I've made earlier, I've actually put it on the dark background. Difficult to know which I prefer. On this, I'm going to just try it on the white card and see what it looks like on there. So very simply, don't forget to wash your embossing folder. Just washing it in hot water, by the way, will get all the ink off without a problem. Same with the brayer. So to make up the card, I'm very simply going to stick it on. My recommendation is to use Tombow for embossed pieces of card because of the ups and downs. The Tombow sits in it better. You can use tape, I just prefer to use Tombow because I think it sticks it better. So I'm going to stick that on the front of the card. Actually, let's stick it this way around. The reason I'm doing that and putting it that way around is because at the bottom you can see I didn't quite get a really good covering of ink, so it looks a bit like snow at the bottom, so I'll have that at the bottom of the card. So that is my card front done. I've already stamped the centre. I've already stamped as well a little greeting to just go on in the middle there. For that I've used the Christmas to Remember set, some lovely sentiments on that. Used the same for the inside, was a snowflake from an old retired set actually. So to finish this card off, all I'm going to do is put a couple of dimensionals on the back of the sentiment. The biggest thing is going to be to decide where to actually put it. I think we'll have it roughly somewhere in the top half, somewhere there, that will do. And then to finish off completely, I am going to do use some of my Iridescent Pearls Basic Jewels. So just get my little pokey tool thing. And we've just got to decide where we want to put these really. That could be the thing that takes the longest. Yeah, I'm just going to put 2 or 3 on, not very many I don't think. Let's just have one in the centre of that one, there we go. So that's my card, really simple, really quick, lovely technique. You can use it with all sorts of different folders. This is a card that's halfway to being made. This is again a piece of basic white, and I've just used the timber embossing folder to bring that out. You can see that in the other video too. So I hope you've enjoyed these cards, and I hope you go off and try a different technique for using your embossing folders. I'll be back next week with yet more Christmas countdown fun. I'll see you then. Do go along to the website. You can read all about this in the Craft Along blog. And if you're interested in or want a catalogue, please let me know and I will send you one out. Just email me at carol@craftycarolscards.co.uk. See you next week. Bye for now.